The stars looked different from here. Commander Samantha Wright stood at the large viewing window of the Earth diplomatic vessel Curiosity, watching as the massive space station grew larger in the distance. The station looked like a giant silver wheel with spokes pointing in all directions. Lights blinked across its surface like tiny stars. 5 minutes until docking, Commander, said Officer Greg Powell from his station at Communications. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel, sending the final approach messages to the station. Sam nodded and straightened her blue uniform one last time. Her heart beat faster as she thought about what was waiting for them. After decades of humans looking up at the stars and wondering if they were alone, the answer had finally come 3 years ago. They were not alone. Not even close. The Galactic Coalition had over 30 different alien species, all working together in peace. And now, after years of watching Earth from a distance, they had invited humans to join them. Everyone ready? Sam asked, looking at her small team. Science Officer Amanda Harris looked up from her tablet and smiled. She had spent months studying everything they knew about alien biology. Her brown hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and excitement showed in her eyes. Ready as we'll ever be, said Cultural Liaison Dan Martins with a nervous laugh. His job was perhaps the hardest, to make sure humans didn't accidentally offend any aliens with strange customs or gestures. In the corner, ship's Chef Peter Johnson was packing his special case of cooking tools. The coalition had allowed him to bring Earth food for the human team, but he had secretly added some extra items, just in case, he had told Sam with a wink. Remember the protocols, Sam said to everyone. No sudden movements around the Zoltari, no showing teeth when smiling at the Braxians, and absolutely no offering food to anyone without clearing it first. The docking process went smoothly. With a soft bump and the hiss of airlocks connecting, Curiosity attached to Unity Hub Station. Sam took a deep breath as the door opened. What greeted them was beyond anything they had prepared for. The docking bay was enormous, at least 3 times larger than Earth's biggest airport terminal, and it was filled with aliens. Some floated in the air like jellyfish with glowing tentacles. Others moved on multiple legs that clicked against the floor. One group looked almost human until they turned, revealing spiral patterns on their backs that seemed to move and change colors. A tall figure stepped forward. It had blue skin that seemed slightly transparent and 4 arms that ended in long, elegant fingers. 2 large eyes blinked slowly as it approached. "Welcome, humans of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am Ambassador Kellner of the Coalition Welcoming Committee. We have been most eager for your arrival." Sam stepped forward and gave the practiced greeting they had been taught. "The people of Earth are honored by your invitation and hope to learn and grow with our galactic neighbors." Over the next week, the human team attended meeting after meeting. They were shown living quarters designed to match Earth conditions. They learned to use translator devices that changed their words into the many languages of the Coalition. They studied maps of the giant station and tried to memorize the names of important alien leaders. The aliens were curious about everything human. They asked about Earth music, clothes, and games. Many wanted to know about human emotions and families. Some even asked to touch human hair, something that most aliens didn't have. Sam was proud of how well her team handled all the attention. No major mistakes had happened. No diplomatic incidents. Everything was going according to plan. What Sam didn't know was that all their careful planning would soon be turned upside down, and it would start not with an important treaty or scientific discovery, but with something as simple as a snack from Earth. 2 weeks had passed since the human team arrived at Unity Hub. The endless meetings were starting to wear on everyone. This morning, Commander Sam received a message on her tablet that made her smile for the first time in days. "Good news, team," she announced during their morning briefing. "We've been invited to eat lunch in the main cafeteria today. Until now, we've only eaten in our private quarters." Chef Peter looked up with interest. "The main cafeteria, where all the species eat." "Exactly," Sam replied. "This is a big step. They're showing trust by letting us into a common area." Dan Martinez, the cultural expert, looked worried. We need to be extra careful. Each species has their own eating customs. Some find the sight of others eating offensive. Amanda nodded. I studied the layout. The cafeteria is divided into sections by atmosphere needs and biology types. We'll be in Section E, which is for oxygen breathers with similar temperature needs to humans. The team finished their meeting and headed toward the center of the station. The hallways got busier as they walked, with aliens of all shapes and sizes moving around them. Some aliens nodded in greeting, while others moved away quickly when they saw humans coming. When they reached the cafeteria, Sam stopped in surprise. The room was enormous, with high ceilings and walls made of a clear material that showed the stars outside. Different sections were separated by glowing lines on the floor and special air barriers that kept different atmospheres from mixing. "Look at that," whispered Greg as they watched a group of aliens that seemed to be made of living crystal float through an area filled with purple gas. A station worker showed them to Section E, where tables were set at the right height for humans. The team got food from machines that had been programmed with Earth recipes, though Sam noticed the food didn't taste quite right. Chef Peter made a face after tasting the spaghetti. "This is why I brought my own snacks," he said quietly. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver bag. "Peter, what is that?" Sam asked with concern. "Just some chips. Real Earth chips with hot sauce flavor. Want one?" He offered the bag to his teammates. Sam looked around nervously. "I don't know if we're allowed to bring outside food here." "It's fine," Peter said. "They never said we couldn't." The sound of the bag opening made a loud crinkle in the cafeteria. Several aliens turned to look at them. Peter didn't notice as he happily crunched on a bright red chip. From 3 tables over, an alien with blue tentacles and large eyes watched with clear interest. The alien had a breathing mask that connected to a small tank, showing it needed help to breathe in the human section. After a moment, the alien stood up and moved toward the human table. "That is making an interesting sound," the alien said through a translator device hanging around what might be its neck. "And the color is most unusual." Chef Peter smiled. "These are potato chips, a snack from Earth. They're made from a vegetable called potato, sliced thin and cooked in oil, then covered with spicy seasoning." The alien's eyes widened. "Spicy. What is this concept?" "It's a sensation. A kind of taste that feels hot in your mouth," Peter explained. The alien, who introduced itself as Zixlor, seemed fascinated. "My species values new sensations. We explore the galaxy seeking them." Without thinking twice, Peter held out the bag. "Want to try one? They're really good." Sam started to object, remembering all the warnings about cross-species food sharing, but it was too late. Zixlor had already reached a tentacle into the bag and picked up a chip. The entire cafeteria seemed to go quiet as everyone watched. Even aliens in other sections were turning to look through the clear dividers. "Peter," Dan whispered in horror, "food sharing is against at least 3 different coalition rules." Zixlor either didn't know or didn't care about the rules. The alien placed the chip inside what appeared to be a mouth hidden among its tentacles. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, Zixlor's normally blue skin began to change colors rapidly. First yellow, then orange, then bright red, then purple. The translator device on Zixlor's neck made a strange buzzing sound, followed by words no human had heard before. The human team froze, certain they had just caused a major diplomatic incident. Then something unexpected happened. Zixlor's color settled on a bright, happy pink, and the alien's eyes grew even wider. "This is amazing," Zixlor exclaimed loudly. "How have we existed without this sensation for so long?" The cafeteria had gone completely silent. Every alien eye stalk, or sensing organ was focused on Zixlor, who was still glowing a bright pink color. The human team sat frozen, unsure what would happen next. "Is he okay?" Sam whispered to Amanda. He's not having an allergic reaction, is he? Amanda checked her tablet quickly. His species changes color to show emotions. I think pink might be excitement or pleasure. It's hard to tell. Zixlor's tentacles were now moving in what looked like a happy dance. The translator around his neck had recovered from its earlier glitch. This sensation, Zixlor announced loudly. It creates a burning, but it is pleasurable. My neural pathways are experiencing stimulation patterns similar to our sacred ceremonial elixirs. Chef Peter grinned with relief. So you like it? It's just hot sauce flavor. Like it? This is revolutionary. Zixlor's voice boomed through the translator. Our ceremonial elixirs take 3 days to prepare and cause a recovery period of 3 more days. This creates the same joy in seconds. Sam noticed other aliens were moving closer now, curious about what was happening. A tall being with limbs that looked like crystal approached their table. This alien had a body that seemed partly transparent, with light reflecting through it in rainbow patterns. Zixlor, what is happening to you? Your color is one I have never seen before, the crystal being said. Grenfell, my friend, you must try this human food called chips with hot sauce. It creates a wonderful burning sensation. Zixlor turned to Peter. May I share with Grenfell? Before Peter could answer, Zixlor had already picked up another chip and handed it to the crystal alien. Sam winced, knowing they were breaking more rules by the second. Peter, Dan hissed. We need to stop this before. But it was too late. Grenfell had already placed the chip inside what appeared to be a small opening in its crystal form. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, amazingly, the crystal alien began to glow from within. Light pulsed through its body, starting at its center and moving outward in beautiful waves of color. Oh my! Grenfell's voice sounded like chimes. The chemical compounds are creating resonance patterns in my crystalline structure. It is most pleasing. Now more aliens were gathering around their table. A group of small round beings that moved like rolling balls came closer. They had no visible mouths, just small eyes that blinked with curiosity. What is happening here? One of them asked. The humans have food that creates new sensations, Zixlor announced proudly. Sam stood up, trying to take control of the situation. I think we should probably put the chips away now. We don't know if they're safe for all species. But her words were lost in the growing excitement. An amorphous blob-like creature had somehow gotten a small piece of chip, and now its normally shapeless body was forming perfect geometric shapes, triangles, squares, and hexagons, as it experienced the spicy flavor. The capsaicin appears to affect different species in different ways, Amanda said with growing scientific interest. She had taken out her tablet and was recording observations. The chemical compound that makes the sensation of spiciness is creating varied neural or cellular responses depending on biology. On the other side of the cafeteria, a group of silicon-based aliens that looked like walking rocks had gotten small tastes of the chips. They were now humming in perfect harmony, creating music that echoed through the room. Greg leaned close to Sam. I think we've started something here. I know, Sam replied, watching as more and more aliens approached their table. The question is it good or bad? That question was answered moments later when alarms began to sound. Red lights flashed along the walls of the cafeteria. A voice announced something in several alien languages before switching to English. Attention! Cafeteria Zone 7 has registered unusual activity levels. All beings, please return to your designated areas immediately. A new alien appeared at the entrance to their section. This one wore what looked like a uniform, with badges and symbols across its chest. Its skin was dark green, and it had 4 arms, each ending in a hand with too many fingers. This is Security Chief Calix Mar, the alien announced in a booming voice. What is happening here? The security chief's eyes widened as he saw representatives from 17 different species gathered around the human table, all consuming or attempting to consume Earth snacks. This is a violation of Coalition Dietary Protocol 551B, Kelixmar shouted. All non-species-specific food consumption must cease immediately. Security Chief Kelixmar stood with all four arms crossed over his chest. His green skin had darkened to an almost black color, which Sam guessed meant he was very angry. Who is responsible for this violation? The security chief demanded. Chef Peter stepped forward. I am, sir. I shared my Earth snack with Zixlor. I didn't know it was against the rules. Kelixmar's eyes narrowed. Ignorance of coalition law is not an excuse. Human. Food sharing between species has been forbidden for 3,000 years. Zixlor moved forward, still glowing pink. Chief Kelixmar, no harm was done. In fact, this human food has created wonderful new experiences for many of us. The rules exist for safety, Kelixmar insisted. Different biologies can have dangerous reactions to foreign substances. As they argued, Sam noticed something strange. Despite the security chief's words, none of the aliens were returning to their sections. In fact, more were arriving, curious about the commotion. A small flying creature that looked like a fluffy blue cloud hovered near Sam's ear. Is it true? The creature whispered. Do humans have food that makes you see colors that don't exist? Before Sam could answer, an announcement echoed through the cafeteria. All diplomatic teams report to Meeting Chamber 12 immediately. Sam gathered her team quickly. Let's go before we cause any more trouble. As they left, Sam saw aliens passing small red chips to each other behind Kelixmar's back. The human snacks were spreading through the cafeteria like a wildfire. In Meeting Chamber 12, they found Ambassador Kilner waiting with several other important-looking aliens. Their faces were hard to read, but their body language seemed tense. Commander Wright, Ambassador Kilnar began. We have received 17 reports about an incident in the cafeteria involving human food being shared with coalition members. Sam nodded. Yes, Ambassador. It was an honest mistake. We didn't realize. That's not why we call you here, interrupted another alien with silver skin and a voice like bells. We called you because in the hour since this incident began, our medical bay has received 43 requests to analyze this chip food for safety so that it can be properly shared. Sam blinked in surprise. They want to officially try our food. It seems, Ambassador Kilner said slowly, that your spicy chips have created quite a stir. Many species are reporting pleasant effects. The silver alien continued. This is highly unusual. For millennia, we have kept our foods separate because of biological differences. No one thought to test if certain Earth foods might be safely enjoyed by other species. By the next morning, news of the chip incident had spread throughout the entire station. When Sam and her team entered the breakfast area, aliens from all sections called out greetings to them. Human friends, will you share more Earth taste today? Called a group of plant-like beings whose flowers seemed to bloom more brightly when they spoke. Greg checked his messages and gasped. Sam, I've received 47 meeting requests from different alien groups wanting to discuss Earth cuisine. Amanda was busy on her tablet. This is fascinating. I've been gathering reports from the medical bay. The capsaicin compound in hot sauce creates different, but mostly pleasant reactions in over 60% of tested species. Dan looked worried. But what about coalition rules? Security Chief Kelixmar seemed pretty upset yesterday. As if summoned by his name, Kelixmar appeared at their table. Sam prepared for another lecture, but to her surprise, the security chief's skin had lightened to a softer green color. Commander Wright, he said formally, the Coalition Health Committee has called an emergency session. They wish to discuss the possibility of revising certain dietary protocols. They want to change rules that have existed for thousands of years. Sam asked in disbelief. Kelixmar shifted uncomfortably. After security hours yesterday, I was persuaded to try a small piece of your chip myself. The experience was educational. Chef Peter couldn't help grinning. You liked it, didn't you? That is not relevant, Kilixmar said stiffly, but the edges of his mouth twitched upward. What is relevant is that the Coalition Elder Council has called for a full report on human cuisine and its potential effects on interspecies relations. As Kilixmar left, Sam turned to her team with wide eyes. Did that just happen? Are our potato chips really changing thousands of years of alien customs? At that moment, another announcement came over the station speakers. Attention all station residents. Due to recent events, an emergency meeting of the Elder Council will take place in 6 hours. All diplomatic teams are required to attend. The Grand Council chamber was the largest room Sam had seen on the station so far. Huge curved walls rose up to a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. Hundreds of aliens sat in rising circles of seats, like a giant classroom or theater. In the center was a round platform where speakers could stand. Sam and her team sat in special seats near the front. She could feel the eyes of countless aliens watching them with curiosity. "I'm nervous," whispered Chef Peter. "What if they kick us out of the coalition before we even join it?" Amanda patted his arm. "Don't worry. The medical reports are all positive. No species has had a harmful reaction to the chips." A soft chime rang through the chamber, and everyone fell silent. From a side door, 3 ancient-looking aliens entered slowly. They wore long robes covered with symbols, and moved with the careful steps of the very old. "The Elder Council," Dan whispered. "They only meet for the most important decisions." The tallest elder took the center position. This alien had skin that looked like old parchment and eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. "I am Elder Council member Voxtillion," the ancient alien announced, voice surprisingly strong. "We have called this emergency session to address what is now being called the human flavor incident." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Sam sat up straighter, trying to look confident. Voxtillion continued. "For 10,000 cycles, the Coalition has maintained strict separation of food and dietary customs. This was done after the great poisoning of the Zarlak system, where cross-species food sharing led to 12 extinctions." The chamber grew so quiet that Sam could hear the soft hum of the station's air systems. However, the elder said, "Recent events have caused us to question whether this universal ban is still necessary." Science Officer Amanda Harris of Earth has submitted a report on her findings. Amanda looked shocked to hear her name. She hadn't expected her notes to reach the Elder Council. "Officer Harris," Voxtillion called, "please approach the speaking platform." With shaking legs, Amanda walked to the center of the chamber. Hundreds of alien eyes followed her movement. Hello," she began nervously. "Over the past 2 days, I've been working with the station's medical team to study the effects of Earth foods on different species." She tapped her tablet, and large images appeared in the air above the platform. They showed chemical structures and biological diagrams. "We've discovered that capsaicin compounds, the chemicals that make spicy food hot, create mild euphoric states in 62% of tested species. For some reason, this compound interacts positively with many different biologies." The images changed to show different aliens eating chips, their bodies reacting in various ways. Salt and vinegar combinations trigger enhanced sensory perception in telepathic species. Amanda continued, gaining confidence. "And umami flavors cause temporary chromatic skin changes in photosynthetic beings." She showed more data, her voice growing stronger. "Most importantly, we found no harmful reactions when proper testing is done first." When Amanda finished, the chamber erupted with questions. Aliens from every section wanted to know more about Earth food and when they could try it safely. Voxtillion raised a hand for silence. "It seems that human cuisine offers unique experiences that many find desirable. But this challenges our oldest safety protocols." A smaller elder with blue skin spoke next. "Perhaps it is time for change. The great poisoning happened before modern medical science. We can now test for compatibility before sharing foods." The third elder, who had not yet spoken, moved forward. This one looked like a collection of glowing orbs floating in a loose pattern. "I propose a new approach. Instead of universal separation, we could create a careful system for cross-species culinary exploration. Chef Peter couldn't contain himself anymore. He stood up from his seat. I could help with that. I'm trained to work with many ingredients and could develop safe recipes for different biologies. Sam tried to pull him back down, but it was too late. The chamber had fallen silent again, all eyes on the human chef. Surprisingly, Voxtillion nodded slowly. An interesting offer. Perhaps the humans could lead this new initiative, since they unknowingly began it. The council members conferred quietly among themselves. The minutes stretched on as the crowd waited. Finally, Voxtillion turned back to address the chamber. The Elder Council has reached a decision, the ancient alien announced. We will create a new department, Interspecies Culinary Relations, and we invite Chef Peter Johnson of Earth to become its first director. The chamber exploded with sounds of approval. Chirps, hums, clicks, and even some human-style applause. Peter stood stunned. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Chef Peter was given a new lab near the main kitchens where he worked with alien scientists to test Earth foods on different species. He was happier than Sam had ever seen him, excitedly explaining the differences between sweet, sour, bitter, salty, and umami flavors to fascinated aliens. But not everyone was pleased with these new developments. While Sam was reviewing reports in her quarters, she received an urgent message. Commander Wright, your presence is required immediately in High Council Chamber 3. The message was marked with the highest priority, which made Sam's stomach twist with worry. She quickly put on her formal uniform and hurried through the station corridors. When she arrived at Chamber 3, she found it was much smaller than the Grand Council room. Only 7 aliens were present, sitting at a crescent-shaped table. She recognized Elder Voxtillion, but the others were new to her. Their expressions were impossible to read, but the atmosphere in the room felt tense. Commander Wright, Voxtillion said, voice formal and cold. Please be seated. Sam sat in the single chair facing the council members. She felt like a student called to the principal's office. Is something wrong, Elder? She asked. That depends on your perspective, said a small alien with gleaming scales. Some council members believe your species has deliberately disrupted our established order. Sam was confused. I don't understand. The food sharing was an accident, and all tests show it's been beneficial. It is not just about food anymore, said another council member with long tentacles that constantly moved. Since your arrival, humans have violated no fewer than 27 different coalition protocols. 27. Sam gasped. But we've been so careful. Voxtillion tapped a screen, and a list appeared in the air between them. Food sharing was merely the first. Your officer Harris has been exchanging scientific data without proper clearance. Your communications officer Powell has been teaching Earth languages to coalition members without registration. And you, Commander, have been allowing free interaction between humans and aliens without supervision. Sam felt her heart sink. All those things seemed so innocent and friendly. She hadn't realized they were breaking rules. With respect, Elder, she said carefully, we meant no offense. On Earth, sharing knowledge, language, and friendship is how we build relationships. That may be, said Voxtillion, but the Coalition has existed for thousands of years because of our careful rules and protocols. Your species has disrupted this in mere weeks. The room fell silent. Sam feared they were about to be sent back to Earth in disgrace. Then the door opened, and surprisingly, Zixlor floated in. His skin was a calm blue color as he approached the council table. Honored Council, Zixlor said with a small bow, I request permission to speak on behalf of the humans. Voxtillion seemed surprised but nodded. The council recognizes Ambassador Zixlor of the Kelveri system. Zixlor moved to stand beside Sam. Since the humans arrived, I have spent many hours observing them. Yes, they'd break our rules. But have you asked yourselves why we created these rules in the first place? The council members shifted uncomfortably. Our food separation began after the Great Poisoning. a tragedy from before modern medicine. Our restriction on knowledge sharing came after the hive mind wars, long since resolved. Our protocols on language learning date back to the translation riots of the fifth cycle, when we lacked proper technology. Zixlor's voice grew stronger. Many of our rules are simply old traditions that no longer serve their original purpose. The humans have shown us this by breaking them without causing harm. One council member with 4 eyes blinked rapidly. Are you suggesting we abandon all protocols? No, Zixlor replied. I am suggesting we examine which ones still make sense. The food sharing that seemed so dangerous has already led to medical discoveries and brought species together who never interacted before. Voxtillion was quiet for a long moment. Finally, the ancient alien turned to Sam. Commander Wright, what do you say to this? Sam stood up straight, knowing this was an important moment for humanity's future in the Coalition. Elder Council, humans have a saying. Sometimes you need to break some eggs to make an omelette. She saw their confusion and smiled. It means that change, even good change, can be messy and uncomfortable. We didn't come here to disrupt your society, but perhaps some gentle disruption was needed. Before anyone could respond, an aide rushed into the room and whispered urgently to Voxtillion. The elder's eyes widened. It seems, Voxtillion said slowly, that we must continue this discussion later. Sam ran alongside the council members, her heart beating fast. What new problem had they caused now? As they approached the main cafeteria, she heard sounds that surprised her. Laughter, music, and excited voices. When they entered, Sam stopped in amazement. The cafeteria had completely changed. The dividing walls between sections were gone. The glowing lines on the floor had been turned off. Aliens of all types were mingling freely, sharing tables, and most surprisingly, sharing food. In the center of the room stood Chef Peter and Amanda, surrounded by aliens of at least 12 different species. They had set up a long table with small plates of various Earth foods, each clearly labeled with compatibility markers. Medical staff stood nearby with scanners, making sure everything was safe. What is happening here? Elder Voxtillion asked, voice filled with shock. A familiar green figure approached, Security Chief Kelix March, but instead of looking angry, he seemed almost happy. Elder Council, Kelix Mar said with a formal bow. After careful medical testing, we have set up the first official interspecies food exchange. Each item has been tested and marked with symbols showing which species can safely enjoy it. Sam looked closer and saw the system they had created. Green circles meant completely safe, yellow triangles meant safe in small amounts, and red squares meant not compatible. Each alien was checking these symbols before trying anything new. This was not authorized, one of the council members said sternly. Kelix Mar stood tall. With respect it was. Chef Peter Johnson was appointed Director of Interspecies Culinary Relations by the Elder Council itself. This is his first official project. Voxtillion moved forward slowly, looking around the room with wide eyes. Everywhere, aliens who had previously kept strictly to their own kind were talking, laughing, and experiencing new tastes together. It's not just the food, Sam said quietly to the elder. It's what happens when people share a meal. Barriers come down. Friendships form. As if to prove her point, she noticed Zixlor and Grenfell sitting with Greg, all three laughing as they tried something that looked like small crackers with cheese. In 3,000 years, Voxtillion said softly, I have never seen Sarlaxians and Dendrites sharing a table. Their planets fought wars for centuries. Yet there they are. Sam followed his gaze and saw 2 very different species sitting together, cautiously tasting the same food and nodding in apparent agreement about its flavor. Commander Wright, Voxtillion said after a long pause, 3 days ago, your species violated one of our oldest protocols. Today, I see the results of that violation. Sam held her breath, waiting for judgment. Perhaps, the ancient alien continued, it is time for the Coalition to learn from humanity. Your willingness to share to connect across differences. This is something we had forgotten. 3 months later, Sam stood in the same cafeteria, but it was now officially called the Unity Dining Hall. The walls had been permanently removed. New signs in multiple languages explained food safety and compatibility. Chef Peter's team of human and alien chefs worked together in an open kitchen where everyone could watch them create new dishes. "Commander," called a voice. Sam turned to see Amanda waving from a table where she sat with aliens from 6 different species. "Come join us. We're trying Peter's new dessert. It's safe for everyone here." As Sam sat down, her communication device beeped with an incoming message. It was from Earth Command, marked urgent. With slightly shaking hands, she opened it. The message was short. "Coalition Council vote complete. Earth's application for membership has been approved unanimously. Congratulations, Commander Wright." Sam looked up at the faces around her, human and alien together, and smiled. "Good news, everyone. It's official. Earth is now part of the Galactic Coalition." Cheers erupted at their table and spread across the room. Zixlor's skin turned bright pink with happiness. Later that evening, Sam found Greg sitting at a quiet table near the viewing window. Stars sparkled outside as ships from dozens of worlds moved around the station. "It's amazing how things turned out," Greg said. "We spent years preparing for first contact, learning about technology and protocols. And in the end, potato chips accomplished what all our training couldn't." Sam laughed. "If they like chips this much, wait until they try ice cream." Across the room, Elder Voxtillion was cautiously dipping a tentacle into a small bowl of mild salsa, while Kelixmar carefully explained the concept of dipping. What had begun as a simple snack shared in a cafeteria had reshaped an entire galactic society's approach to differences. Humanity had brought something unexpected to the stars, not just advanced physics or unique biology,